Hello. This is a how-to video. Show some of the basics of the tarot deck. Today we'll do the Major Arcana, and then on the next one I'll do the Minor Arcana. There are 4 suits. There's 22 cards in the Major Arcana. Starts with 0 and goes through 1 through 21. Then there are 56 cards in Minor Arcana, 14 in each suit. So that's here's the one I use, the Rider Tarot deck. That's the easiest one for me to use. There are all kinds of different decks you can use, but this one, each card has a picture and a story in it, and the book that goes with it matches up. Everything is explained perfectly. It matches with this deck. These two go together. So it tells you each thing, each story, and it's easy to read, for me at least, because, for instance, if it just had, this tells a story. It shows the girl holding her 2 swords, and she's got her blindfold, and she's got the sea behind her, and it tells the story. The moon is looking down at her. So it tells a story. Like this has 3 swords through a heart. That means sorrow and tears. And there are rain clouds, that mean tears. But if it just had 3 swords, then it would be hard to remember what the story is. But because it has pictures and people and oceans and different things, moons looking down, the sun looking down, it's easier to read these cards because each card has a story, and it's easier to remember. I couldn't remember if I just saw like 5 wands. I wouldn't remember what that means. But if I see the picture with the person in it and what the person is doing, then I can remember what the card means. So this is a good deck for someone with a memory like mine who couldn't remember what the 5 means, but needs a picture. I need pictures. My memory works better with visual things, with pictures. So if your memory works like mine, where it's more of a visual memory, where you work better with pictures, then this deck is good for someone like you and me. But this is a good deck. This is I like this deck. I've seen others that look really nice, but this is a really good deck. So we have the Major Arcana. Today we'll talk about that one. And it starts with 0, which is the Fool. Am I in the picture? Yeah, this shows it in the picture. Some decks have the Fool in different places, but this deck puts him at the beginning, which is a good place for him, because the idea of the Fool is that you're at the beginning of your journey, and it's as though the spirit was out there somewhere, and then this little baby is born, and the spirit goes into the baby, and then you start your life journey, and you go through your whole life journey, learning experiences, and then you get to the end, number 21, and that's your end of your journey. But 0 is the beginning, and he's kind of foolish. He's about to walk over this ledge because he doesn't know anything. He's at the beginning of his journey. He doesn't have any knowledge yet. So this is a good little story that I'll do another video about the journey of the Fool, and there's something in the book that's really nice. I'll probably just read it out of the book, because it talks about the journey and what happens in each step of the journey. But he starts at 0, and I'll show you each one of these symbols means something. There's a symbol on his little pack here. The flower he's holding means something. The symbols on his robe means something. There's little pentacles in there. The dog represents something. The direction he's facing represents something. And if you look at the book, can you see that? There it is. This whole part here is talking about all these little details. And then you get down to the meanings. And if he's up this way, then that's one kind of meaning. And if he's reversed, then that's the reversed meaning. So you get two different meanings. But all of this talks about all these little details and what he's wearing and which direction he's facing and which way the sun is coming down. And so it's very good. It's a lot of information in each one. Like with the magician, there's a whole nother thing about all the different things that are on his table and all the direction, all these flowers, everything has a meaning. Every flower has a meaning, every plant has a meaning. So these are good books. I got 2 of them. So this one's getting worn out, but I've got 2 of them. I've got 2 decks, the same kind of deck, the same rider deck. But let's see. So he starts on his journey, then he moves through the journey, and each card he's learning something. Each card is a step in the journey. And this is like the beginning of the journey. He doesn't know anything yet. He's foolish. He doesn't have any knowledge. Then each step of the way, he learns new things. In the magician, he learns how to control energy. He learns how to use the different tools. And here you've got the tools, the different things here. You've got the wands, you've got the cups, you've got the swords and the pentacles. And he learns how to use all of those things. And all these flowers mean special things, the roses. And this is a male. And this is the female version, sort of the female version of the magician, the high priestess. And then she learns different things. Each step of the way you're learning different things. It's not just male, female. You're learning, if you're a male, you're learning the female side of things too. And if you're a female, you're learning the male side. So you learn each thing and each step. Now if you get somewhere and you're having trouble, then the meaning would go in reverse. So if you're doing okay, then you're doing these things. So let's see, for the magician, the example would be will, mastery, organizational skills, creative talents, good things like that. But if you're having trouble with that, then you would be indecision, weak-willed, use of power in a destructive way. So it's in most cases, it's positive this way and negative that way, but it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it's negative in both ways, like with the five of these suits, it's sometimes negative in both ways. Other times it'll be positive in both ways, but it'll be a good positive here and a positive here, but to a lesser degree. So each one is a little bit different, but usually it follows the rule that this way is positive and the reverse is negative. So that makes it a little easier. But if you're on your journey and you're doing all the right things and you're doing okay, then you'll follow those things, those good examples, like will and mastery and organizational skills, ability to take power from above and direct it through desire and manifestation, into manifestation. So that's what he's doing. He's taking the energy from above and bringing it down and turning it into something real. But then if you're having trouble in life, then you would have those other things, disorganization and weak will. And then you would work on that and try to solve those problems. Then when you get all these problems solved, then you can move on to the third card. So it's like a life journey. It's telling about a life journey. And you try to do each card. You can look at it when you get your deck. You can kind of look at each card, and you can figure out where you're at in the journey. Because you're probably not here. You're probably somewhere over in here, depending on how old you are and how much experience you have. And then you can figure out where you're at in the journey. You might be halfway through. And then you can say, okay, this card matches where I'm at, because this is the halfway point. He takes a pause, the Hanged Man, and then you can look at his qualities and say, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at on the journey. And then you work at that until you've accomplished everything. And then you move on to card number 13. And then you work on those qualities. And you can tell where you're at in your journey. And eventually you move all the way through and start getting up to these higher cards. Cards 17 and 18. And you're accomplishing a lot of things. The Sun, you're almost there. When you get to the Sun, you're only 3 cards away. And the little boy's in control of everything. The horse, the sun is looking down on him. Even the flowers are looking at him. But if it's this way, then you still have things to solve. You still have problems. And if it's this way, you keep working at it until you get all those problems solved. And then eventually you get to this point where you have everything solved, and then you can move on to number 20. Then there's even more things. Then you finally move on to number 21, and that's your end of your journey. You gain total consciousness. You learn, you have everything, you know about everything. But that's how it works. High Priestess, then the Empress, and the Emperor, these are kind of a male and female version of the younger person at the beginning of their journey. And this is the male and female version when they're a little bit farther along, showing the male qualities and the female qualities. Then the Hierophant, that's a good card. I like that card. I call it the Rebel card. When it's this way, I call it the Rebel card, because this way it means someone who... See, this is where it's good in both ways. It's not good this way and negative that way. This is a card that's good both ways. Where this card, the Emperor, would be good this way and negative that way. But this is one of those cards that is good both ways. This way means you fit in socially. You like other people to like you. You like following tradition. But when it's this way, you're more of a rebel, more of a loner, which is good. Rebels are good. They do different things. They do things differently than other people. And I like that card. I like it this way better than the other way. So when you get to there, then you have the Lovers, shows attraction. Got the, I think that's Michael, the angel Michael. And he's attracted to her, but she's attracted to Michael, which is kind of an interesting story. So he's not so happy, because he's looking at her and he wants her, but she wants this big strong angel who can fly, so he's not too happy. And she's got the tree of life behind her, representing Eve, and there's a snake going up the tree, which represents temptation. And he's got, I think this little bush behind him represents the zodiac, the signs of the zodiac. So that's good. Then you've got the Chariot, which shows that you've been able to master the basic forces, the animal forces, because he's got control over the animal forces, the two animals down here, the two lions. And it shows male and female balance. But this way it would show that the animal forces have control over the spiritual forces. So then when you're at this point, you have to work on that and try to get it back over to this way and get control of those animal forces, those natural forces. And this also says the same kind of thing. What are we up to? The 8, strength. This shows the spiritual over the animal, and this is the kind of same thing. These two cards are very similar. So this shows spiritual. This woman is controlling this lion. And if it were this way, it would mean that the animal forces or the material forces are controlling the spiritual. So it's kind of easy to read when you've got these stories, because each one you can tell by looking at it what the story is. Then you've got the hermit. He's made it to the point on his journey where he's up on a mountain, and he's got the lantern of truth, and he's up there waiting for people, and he's going to guide them up and help them. And this is a guide. This is someone who's going to help you and guide you. So that's easy to remember, because he's standing there waiting, and he's got wisdom, and he's guiding people up. So that's how it's easy to remember the story when you've got good pictures like this. When it's this way, that means you're ignoring his advice. So it's a negative. This way it's good. It means you're taking his advice and using it. Then you've got the Wheel of Fortune. That shows good fortune or bad fortune. This way it's good. This way it's bad fortune. Because the jackal represents the good people, and the snake represents the evil, the negative, and the snake is always descending. Bad people never want to be good. They never want to attain that higher level, where good people are always trying to be better. They're always trying to go higher. Bad people just want to go down. They don't care about going up. And that's what that card's saying. So that's saying good fortune. And then that would say bad fortune, bad luck. Because it goes counterclockwise. It's moving counterclockwise. So this way that means the good people are going down and having bad luck, and the bad people are going up and having good luck. So that's how it works. Let's go through the whole thing. Justice. That's kind of like this. Good luck, bad luck, and this is justice and injustice. So this way you would have justice. She's got her scales. She's got her pillars, good and evil, positive, negative. And then that would be injustice. And then the hangman is halfway through his journey. He's at number 12. And he takes a pause at that point. And he rests and thinks about things before he moves on. And that's a good card. And then if it's this way, it means he's being arrogant, and he's going to use his power in a negative way. And if it's this way, it means he's going to use his power in a positive way and move forward. Then you've got death, which is actually a good card this way. That means renewal, new things happening. Because the king is being trampled. So the king is dying, but then there'll be a new king. The new king will take his place. So it's out with the old, in with the new kind of thing. So that's a good card. This way it would actually mean death, destruction, negative things. And then you have temperance, which is a good card. It shows, I think that's Michael, again, the angel. And he's taking, this cup represents the subconscious, and this cup represents the conscious. This one's supposed to be silver, but it's gold. But it's just supposed to be a silver cup. And he's taking the liquid from the subconscious and pouring it into the conscious, which means he's taking an idea and turning it into reality. So that's good. And I like this little pathway. It shows you little things in here. This little path going up between the mountain peaks and the sun coming up. And it fits in with other cards, have other little, the story continues. And that mountain peak will show up. Here's the path again going up through between these two towers. And it shows up somewhere else too. Did I go past it already? It's in here somewhere else, the little mountain. But here's the devil. These two cards kind of go together, the devil and the tower. They kind of mean the same thing. Number 15 and 16. And this talks about material controlling spiritual. Because these people are chained, this block is materialism, and they're chained to the block. But the chains are on real loose. They can take those chains off anytime they want. And if one way to remember, if you go this way, this means the opposite. That means they've broken the chains. They've gotten out of it. Now they're back towards spiritual and away from material. And if you look at it this way, the chains can just fall off, and then they're free, because they're just there. They're not secured tight on their neck. And then this card kind of means the next step in the journey. So this way, these cards both have positive, negative, depending on which way they go. They're positive things this way and positive things this way, but there's also negative. So it's like positive, negative this way, positive, negative that way. And this one does the same thing. But in this card, it's like the next step. If they stay chained to the materialism, then they get to the point where they've built up all this money and all this power, but then the lightning bolt comes in and tells them, shatters everything, destroys everything, and says, you've been living your life the wrong way. And then they fall down and they realize that they should have been looking at material things and not spiritual and not material, that they've been wasting their life. So those two cards go together. Tell a little story. Then we get to the star, what do we got here? The last 5 cards. Notice how they're so much brighter yellows and blues, and some of these cards are darker colors. But now we're getting to the end. We're getting more in control of the things we do. And all these little things, even a little bird has meaning. The water has meaning. The fact that she's able to stand on the water and not go down into it. Each thing has a meaning. Here's the water again. And then the little crayfish represents the people, us people, who are going to come out of this water and go past all these obstacles. And here's the pathway going up the mountain. And we have to go all the way up that pathway, which matches with that other pathway down here. Where is it? Where did it go? It's in here somewhere. I showed it to you. I can't find it now. There it is. Going up between the mountains. And then we get to the sun. Now he's got a lot of control. He's controlling everything. Then to the reward, judgment. And then if it's this way, it would mean that you haven't reached that point yet. Let me look at what that one says. So on this way, it would mean a life well lived, work well done, awakening, renewal. But then in the opposite way, it would mean disillusion, weakness, fear, death, failure to find happiness, separation. So if you might be at this stage of the journey, card 20, and you still might be having trouble. Just because you've made it to 20 doesn't mean everything's going to work out great. You still could be having problems. It still could be this way. So each step of the way, you could be this way or positive or negative. And then if you're negative, you work on those traits until you get it turned around this way. Then you can move on to the next card. And this card has everything. You've achieved your goal. See what it says on that one. Not going too far. But that's the ultimate goal. There we are, the world. Completion, reward, success, triumph in all undertakings. Arrival at a state of cosmic consciousness. So that means you're kind of connecting with all the energy, all the knowledge that's in the universe, and you've reached that high level. And then if you, the other way, it would say success not yet won. So you could even get to card 21 at the end of the journey, and you still might not have everything right. If it's this way, you still might have to work and get it turned around. So each step, each card, you have to work at it. It's like a step in a journey. And if you make good decisions, then you can move on to the next card. But if you make bad decisions, then you're stuck in that card, like that way. You're stuck there with arrogance or some problem. And when you get over that arrogance, then it moves around to the other way, and then you can move on to the next card. So that's the Major Arcana. Made kind of a mess here, but that's how it works out. In the next video, I'll talk about the Minor Arcana. Each card. All right. Okay, I hope that's helpful for a how-to for beginners. I have other how-to videos on my channel. It's in the playlist section if you want to go see those. All right, I hope that was helpful. See you on the next video. Bye.